Good.
All right, tell me a little bit about your work experiences thus far.
Okay, so I got my first job when I was about 15, and I worked at the YMCA in my hometown. And I worked the front desk. I was the front desk receptionist all the way through high school. And then when I went to college, I had to stop doing that, of course, because I went 3 hours away, so I wasn't able to continue that job. And then, so the rest of my jobs were not necessarily what you would consider a steady job like that. It was just the paid internships that I got through Golden Leaf. And my first one was at Annie Penn Hospital in Reedsville, which is just over from my hometown. And I was in the operating room in the mornings, and then in the afternoon when surgery was over, I would go upstairs and I would work with the teen volunteers, which I was a teen volunteer in high school, so I kind of already knew how it went, like how the supervisor ran things, and so she let me come in and be over them, and it was neat because they were only a couple of years younger than me, and so it was nice getting to work with people close to my age, and I knew what they were doing, like what they were supposed to be doing, so it was pretty fun. I feel like sometimes I was their guidance counselor because they came in my office a lot and just talked. But other than that, my second internship was back in the operating room again in the mornings, and then in the afternoons I worked with um, I did a lot of PR for the hospital. I helped with incoming surgeons and helped get their name out there. I was part of the lunch when we would take them out and kind of show them around, show them the city, and let them know what they were going to be getting into with Annie Penn. And we did tours of the hospital. It was really really a fun time. I loved that job. I also helped a lot with planning big events that the hospital hosted. We did a large party in December, and my job ended in the summer, but I came back in December because I'd worked so hard towards this party. I didn't want to miss it. I did all of the decorations for the entire party, and we were working on a budget, so I was forced to figure out how to work with a budget and do creative, cool, fun things for the hospital employees to enjoy with very little money. So I did a lot of stuff by hand, but they really enjoyed it. I got a lot of compliments, so that was pretty fun. And then my last internship with them, well, with Golden Leaf, I did an internship in Eden. I didn't go back to Annie Penn. I worked with City Hall and Chamber of Commerce in Eden, um, my hometown, and that's because I really wanted to stick more with the business aspect of things rather than doing so much with a hospital. Not that that wasn't business related, but I wanted to see something else. And so Chamber of Commerce and City Hall was a lot of event planning, and it was fun. It really was. I had a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And we planned some pretty large events. Our biggest was Riverfest. It takes over $50,000 to put that event on every year. So I got to learn a little bit about their budgeting with that, and really how much planning goes into putting on such a large event for a city. So it was really interesting to learn all of that. So that was and I also did the Disney College program, and I worked at Disney for 7 months, and I really had a lot of fun there. That was the best work experience of all. I worked with FastPass at Epcot and Magic Kingdom. I also picked up a few shifts at Hollywood Studios, so I've worked at all the parks except for Animal Kingdom, and I really, really fell in love with it. It was the best job I've ever had in my entire life, and I plan on, heading back down that path once I graduate. So.
Well, sounds like you've had a very varied uh, background in your work with
Yes.
YMCA and the hospitals, the Chamber of Commerce and Disney World. Sounds like you've got a good background,
Yeah.
good experience rating. So that's real good. I'm glad to see that on your resume.
Thank you.
Tell me about something that you might have done that was different from any of your peers. Something that might be unique to you in your work experiences.
mean, I feel like everything I've done is unique. I don't know anyone that's had such great opportunities with paid internships like I have. You know, and it's not that I don't have friends that are really working towards their degrees and their future, and they are. It's just, for some reason, not that many people tend to know about this scholarship, and I just think that that's absolutely crazy because it's the best thing ever. I mean, I can't imagine not going and having these paid internships through Golden Leaf and Center for Creative Leadership. They really just done a lot for me and really helped mold me into what I am today. So I think that's really unique. The fact that I've had paid internships every year while I was in college, and I went to 2 conferences a year that taught me so much about leadership. You know, none of my friends can say that. None of my peers can say that. And I think that is really, really a big thing, and I will always remember the things that I've learned there because they did it in such a fun and creative way, and that's helped me realize that learning and being a leader can be fun as well, and even teaching your peers how to do the leadership activities that they show us. I mean, you think that you're playing games and you're not. I mean, you are, but you learn so much about yourself and about other people, and everybody learns differently, and everybody leads differently, and everybody follows differently. So I think that has been the biggest thing that I've learned that makes me stand out.
Well, great. Going back to your Disney experience, what do you think was the motivating thing that made you love that type of work so much? And why would you want to pursue it in the future?
There's always been this part of me that wants to help people, and I always thought that the best way to help people was to work at a hospital, and I just never thought of anything different. And then I just did this college program for fun. I didn't even think it was going to be anything serious. I just wanted to get out of school for a little while, which I took online classes while I was there, but I just wanted to go to Florida and go to Disney. I mean, who doesn't want to work at an amusement park? But then I realized that you can help people in many different ways and in many different places. And I really had a lot to learn when it came to customer service at Disney World. And they're all about their image in the best way. They're not, you know, it's not in a bad way. We learned to do everything and help everyone. I mean, I wasn't on custodial, but I knew things about custodial. And if I were to see anything walking by, I was supposed to pick it up. And I didn't do it because it was, you know, mandatory. I did it because I wanted to. Everybody works towards keeping Disney this spick and span place, and it's just protecting the image, and everybody just loves it and honors it. And I think that's so great. I mean, who wouldn't want to work for a company that they own everything? I mean, they have so many different outlets that you can work in, and it's just really phenomenal. The company is phenomenal, and they treat their employees really, really well. I mean, they have their own doctors, they have their own EMS that they have underneath the park. They're ready to come out and help you if you need help immediately, and they can pull you in through the doors to the tunnels underneath, and no one will ever see you sick or hurt. Or they really try to keep everything pretty quiet and in the best way possible. I mean, you don't want people gathering around you if something were to happen. They're really good about that. So I think what really makes me want to continue to work for that company, though, is just how happy Disney makes people. I mean, it's very hard to go to Disney and have a bad time. You have to try really hard to have a bad time there. And they know that. I mean, everybody is there to help make your vacation the best they can possibly make it. And it's funny how you think that would be so tiring, but it's not. You get such a joy and such a high off of helping people have this best time because it makes you happy to see other people happy. And I think that's the type of people that work there, and that's the type of person that I am. And I think it's just a really good fit for me.
Good. Did you ever run into any type of really frustrating experiences, and how did you cope with it?
Oh my goodness, yes. You're always going to have a few people that don't see eye to eye with you, and it's very difficult sometimes. A lot of times, we're always told that the customer is always right, even if they're not. And that's very hard to swallow, and it's even harder to implement it into your daily routine. And I think that it took me a little while, but I know that I had a friend that was working right next to me, and the customer got so upset with her, he spit in her face.
Goodness.
And that's considered assault in Florida, and it's a really big deal, but she couldn't do anything about it. I mean, she couldn't fight back. She wouldn't be able to, I mean, I'm sure she wanted to punch him, but she can't. And she would have been fired. And so she knew to just kind of step back and let it happen, and then Disney would take care of the guy. And they did, and he's banned for life, and he has all this, you know, there's legal issues brought against him, I'm sure, but it's just, and they because Disney has their own set of police as well. And so I actually have talked with them at one point, and they're very great. They're very easy to work with. They understand, and they know that you know should never have happened. And so I'm sure that it wasn't a huge deal for her. Afterwards, I'm sure that Disney just kind of really took care of it, and she didn't have to do much because I mean the whole thing was videotaped anyway. Every part of the park is videotaped all the time, and so I just think that bad things happen, but you kind of just have to move on. And one of my teachers at ECU actually once told me that you can either be upset with the person for their actions, or you can celebrate their actions and just move on. And it makes you a lot happier to celebrate their actions. And you can't change someone that's just upset at the park. I mean, they're going to be upset. But you can look at it in a positive light and just say, you know, take a deep breath and fix it. So I think that's what I really learned there. But I did see my fair share of upset guests.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah. But we tend to fix it pretty quickly. And with FastPass, we work really closely with guest relations. And so guest relations would always be with us in the park, wherever we were, at our stations. And so we would just be able to grab them, and they would be able to neutralize the situation pretty quickly, normally. Whether it be, you know, giving them a free ice cream for their child, or a free toy for their child, or giving them, you know, fast passes for the day. We'll set it up for them for the whole day. Or once we had such a bad experience, this guest had such a bad experience one time that we set up their entire fast passes for the rest of their trip. Because they were just so upset, and they had good reason. So,
elaborate just a little bit. What is a fast pass? I'm not familiar with that.
So, fast passes have evolved now. They're all electronic. They used to be the paper tickets that a guest would go put the ride that they wanted, and they would come out with a paper ticket, and you would have to bring that ticket to the ride, and there would be two separate lines. And one would be the normal queue, and one would be the fast pass queue. And so if you had a fast pass, you could go in the fast pass line. Once you get up to the ride, they may say the roller coaster seats 20. They might pull 12 from the regular queue because they've been waiting a long time, but then they'll pull 8 from the fast pass queue. So the line's always shorter. So if you go, sometimes you can get through the rides quicker and you can ride more. It's basically the goal of fast pass. Now they're electronic and they've changed everything. You can get 3 your first time you go up, and then you can go back and get 1 at a time, but they're unlimited. Now fast passes do run out though. They have a set amount of fast passes per ride per day. And then they each have times. So the earlier you get there, the earlier time you'll get. But come 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they may be out of fast pass for the ride already. It just depends on the popularity of the ride. And then you would just have to go in the general queue.
Okay. Sounds interesting. I wasn't familiar with that, so I just wondered what it was. I have been to Disney World and I've seen two lines and
Mhm.
wondered why they had two different lines. So
It was-
that explains it.
It was really interesting when I first got down there because I was part of the first team when they went electronic. So that's another reason why we had to deal with angry guests quite a bit, because they weren't used to the change. No one likes change, and so I had to deal with that a lot. But I like the electronic version better. And now they come out with Magic Bands, and now the electronic passes were on your card ticket, but now you can put them on your Magic Bands. You don't even have to carry anything around. You just wear this little bracelet, and you go up and you tap in, and you get in with your fast passes that way, and it's so much easier.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I'm a pretty big fan of it.
Oh yeah, sounds much easier.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, sounds like you've certainly had a varied background and experiences leading up to this interview, and we're certainly glad that you came in for this interview. We're always looking for people with leadership skills and experience also in the workforce dealing with people. So sounds like you are well qualified for it, and we certainly will be reviewing your resume, and hopefully in the very near future we'll be back in contact with you to possibly offer you some positions. So,
Thank you. I hope so.
We certainly appreciate you coming in today and
you.
interviewing with us.
Yes,
Thank you so
thanks.
much. All right.